Good morning and welcome to Career Mastered Inside Career Success Show. I'm Dr. Lisa Wicker. I am the founder and publisher of Career Mastered Magazine and president of Linwick and Associates. We're super excited to be with you for 2022. This is our second series, our 17th show, and it is getting better and better as we go forward into the year. Let me tell you about what today's excitement is. Today's show really is like we've done in the last season about high profile women, women who have proven their leadership, women who have mastered their careers, women who support others in the marketplace and give back, women who are in the everyday arena of making it happen in the marketplace and is about the business of business. And so we're really, really thrilled today to have a fabulous woman that I've come to know and admire and adore. All of those attributes are there. But I like her because of what she does for the community and for others. It's never about herself. And so before I bring her on, let me tell you a little about her background and about Career Mastered, the magazine. The magazine was launched in 2018. And since that time, we've grown tremendously from launching in New York, Charlotte, and Detroit to actually now a global footprint. And so you can access the magazine from major sites like Amazon, Issue, as well as Career Mastered website, and in some small libraries across the nation. And so we're really excited about that. And we're excited that this year, 2022, we will be 5 years old. And that I think is absolutely an opportunity to say that we've grown. Today, we're pleased to have with us none other than Dawn Johnson. Dawn Johnson is the owner and agent of her State Farm Insurance. And let me bring her on and then I'll introduce her formally. Good morning, Dawn.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm ecstatic to have you. I thought we'd get together last year, but I knew that it would happen. And here we are at the top of 2022, and you're our first guest. Hey,
Hey, so
excited.
excited.
So let me
Yes.
tell my audience about who you are, and then we'll get into some conversation about just how you've done it. And I know for a fact that you've proven your leadership and you're demonstrating every day what it's like to be in the marketplace. And so Dawn Johnson is of Rock Hill, South Carolina. She would describe her current life path as a result of stumbling. And we're going to get into that conversation. You said that I stumbled into my career path, and my journey is one of the reasons that I started my foundation. I'll just say as a side note, besides the State Farm Insurance Agency, you also have a foundation, and you saw a need and wanted to fill it. As an agent owner, Johnson loves math, problem solving, teaching, and helping people. Acknowledging that she was a bit of an introvert and shy, she also shares that she was always told that she was smart and well liked. She engaged in a lot of educational programs, but not one really provided guidance on career choices. And as your story goes, you said you were told that you should pursue teaching, and that would pay well, and you were directed to accounting even as a choice. But because of mentoring and guidance you received during an internship, you went on to become a State Farm, and must say, successful agent. You graduated from Orangeburg Wilkinson High School in South Carolina and continued on to Florida State University, where you graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Economics. She started her career with State Farm Insurance Company in Jacksonville, Florida, and transferred to State Farm's corporate headquarters in Bloomington, Illinois in 2000. Dawn Johnson opened an individually owned and operated State Farm Insurance Agency in December of 2006. And so, welcome to the show, Dawn.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lisa, for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, absolutely. We've already got people chatting with us. Can you hear me now? You can still hear me, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So we're ready to go. We have people with us, and we'll talk to our audience as we go through. One of the ways I work it is as I see questions come through, I often ask our audience to put it in the chat. We'll then tell you what it is. But let's get into the conversation. And really, it's about your impressive career um, as a successful State Farm agency. No, I know for a fact, having had some chance to work with you for a while, that it's not an easy task to own your own operation. But please share with us your backstory first. Tell us how and where you came from and how you got into your career.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm originally from New York, actually. My parents' home is my mother's home is Orangeburg, South Carolina. So I always knew that she was trying to get back there. So I grew up in New York, and my mother actually um, loved cooking and she loved feeding people. So that was my first glimpse into service, because she did it in any way that she could, whether it was in the school system. And then she had the opportunity to open her own restaurant. It was a mom and pop called Ma's Place, and she figured out how to get it done. And so that was what I watched growing up. And then in my neighborhood, what I did realize is that we lived in an apartment, um, and to the left of me, down the street, were other apartments, and to the right of me were homes that people owned. And I noticed that people living in apartments were pretty much had uniforms, everyday clothes, Russian. The kids were latchkey kids, and then those who were coming out of the homes had suits, dresses, heels, briefcases, walking their kids to school oftentimes. So you just pick up on those little nuances that there's something here, and you just plant those seeds in the back of your mind, and you start to formulate what type of lifestyle you think you want for yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
I think at that time I started to unpack what it meant in terms of the career choices and how that led to the lifestyle that you wanted. And so that's kind of how I grew up. It was definitely a community. Those of us who were latchkey kids and lived in an apartment, there were moms whose windows faced the neighborhood and could see the street. And we could always look up as kids and see the moms in the window that were keeping a watch to make sure that we weren't getting in trouble and doing anything that we weren't supposed to do. But also, even on my floor, I knew that my neighbor, even she knew that my mom was not going to be home when I was going to be home, or my siblings was not going to be home. And if she didn't hear that key unlock, I knew she was looking out her peephole and making sure I was going into the apartment when I was supposed to. And if I lollygagged and I was in the street and that lock wasn't turning at 3 o'clock and she didn't see me in the hallway, she was gonna be out the window looking up and down the street to see where I was. And so there was like that silent peace and comfort of knowing that somebody else was watching you,
Yes.
even though your parents may not have been around. And she never really said many words to me. It was just that watchful eye. And I knew though that if I didn't do what I was supposed to do, I was going to hear from my mom, because she was going to be talking to my mom and telling her exactly what I was doing, what
I
I was
know it.
saying.
I know it.
So that's the kind of community I grew up in, and I think that helped also make me the person that I wanted to be in terms of being a protector, being someone that would, I'm in a position I had the ability to help someone out and be a part of a village. That was what I wanted to do. I didn't know how it was going to turn out, but that's what I ended up living out, that same environment, just in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, community is so important. I can resonate with what you're saying because I had the same thing going to school, to church, and to neighborhood. Everybody was watching. You could not get in trouble, and if you did, you knew your mom was going to be right at the door when it's time, right?
Right,
So,
right.
give us, Dawn, an understanding of your role right now as an agent owner and the impact you're providing as a business owner in South Carolina. And you might want to tell us a little bit about your foundation while you're at it.
Absolutely. So I started out on the corporate America side, climbing the corporate ladder. And I just recommend to everyone. I know there's this big um, multi-generational thought process of maybe people not wanting to be a part of corporate America, not wanting that 9 to 5 experience necessarily, and trying to do their own thing. But I do encourage people that there are such great lessons to be learned in corporate America. Number
Yeah.
one, you can be groomed. Number one, they have training budgets where they can send you off to places to be trained, to get leadership instruction, that you might not be able to afford yourself. I know a lot of the leadership programs that I was sent to cost thousands of dollars and involve travel and hotel and all that. And I would never at that stage of my life have been able to provide that for myself. So those are some of the benefits of thinking about being a part of a corporate America structure initially, to get that foundation laid,
Yeah.
and then to be around and amongst like-minded people who you can just learn how that whole process works. You can find other people who may be doing the things that you are doing or that you want to do, that you can reach out to. It just provides you with a great network and opportunity, but you have to be diligent on seeking out those opportunities. We're in a stage where everybody just doesn't know how other people are. We don't know their personalities. We don't know their stories. So you have to just, I used to take my lunch to work and just sit around amongst other people and listen
Mhm.
to who other people talked about, who they talked about in a positive way and who they
Yeah.
talked about in a not so positive way. And I learned who I needed to be connected to, or at least try to reach out to and develop a relationship or a friendship with, to just seek knowledge, to seek wisdom. So I spent a lot of my early years in my career just seeking knowledge and inspiration and learning from those who went before me.
Yeah.
Because one of the things my mother said taught me is that you don't have to touch the stove to know that it's hot. You can look at other people's burns, right?
I love it.
I didn't want to, if I was going to make mistakes, I wanted to make brand new mistakes.
Yeah.
I wanted to take the time to learn from other people and figure some things out. And what I learned is that it helped propel me a lot quicker, because I, found these women in corporate America who looked like me, and they were willing, Lisa, they were willing to pour into me because they saw that I was a receptive spirit, that I wanted to hear what they had to say. And I feel like these women propelled me up
Yes.
the corporate ladder. And
Yes.
every single year of my career, I received a promotion,
Oh
and
my
I
goodness.
credit those women for those opportunities.
Wow, wow. And you brought that mindset and that business savvy to your own agency. Tell us about the impact you're making in Rock Hill. I know we sometimes often don't want to talk about ourselves, but
Yeah,
I'm a witness of what you're doing. So I'm not going to let you get away with not telling us. So
right.
tell us what you're
Yeah.
doing in this area.
Once I came into a new community and I had to establish myself. And again, I got really busy finding out who the people were in this community who cared about other people, and I wanted to be connected with them. So I joined organizations and got to know people really quickly. And that helped me lay the foundation for my agency. And it was always my mindset. I asked God, I really didn't know financially how it would make my
Yeah.
doors open and run. But I said, if you just help me with this, Lord, and that I will use it as a platform to help others. So once I got my bearings, and that, I always, from day one in my agency, as I met with my clients and I talked to them about their retirement plans or their financial goals, I always, in those one-on-one situations, would lend to them the benefit of my experiences. And then I started to use those organizations that I became a part of to do workshops and to share my experiences for free.
Hmm.
Um, because I just felt like, to whom much is given, much is required. And as
Right.
God continued to bless me in my agency, I just wanted to continue to be a blessing in my community. So I use those organizations, utilize those relationships um, to do workshops, to do speaking engagements, to help people understand the benefit of my career, how I got to where I was, and to share my networks, to share my experiences. So it's just became a journey of sharing. So then when I hit my 10-year mark, I started a foundation called the True Colors Foundation. And that was to pay homage to my parents for laying such a great foundation for me of service, because
Mm.
I feel like that's what all of their life was about.
Yeah.
So the foundation really was a way of raising money so that I can just give money out to other nonprofit agencies who are trying to do the same work, because I
Yeah.
believe that we can do so much more together than we can separately. So that became the premise of the foundation. So that's really, I just try to connect. I got really involved with the city of Rock Hill here and plugged into all of their opportunities, the things that they're trying to do to further advance the communities, and just
Hmm.
lending myself as a resource and a mouthpiece and a connector. And I just share
Yeah.
anywhere, any way anyone will give me the opportunity. I just try to share.
Well, I'm a witness of that. I have my own nonprofit, and I will tell our audience that um, Don Johnson's True Color Foundations even helped change my own personal life when I participated in your contest for Dancing with the Stars. And that experience, what I thought was the experience and what I thought it was for, was absolutely not necessarily the case. I think I gained as much as I did for the dollars for the foundation as I did for my own personal life. So I thank you for that, and I know for sure that one day we'll get that back together once this pandemic is over, right?
Yes.
But tell me about you've mentioned some of the benefits of your success and like the foundation, giving back and caring. If you can tell us a few others that you can think of, you are a State Farm insurance agent owner. That's not that you work for State Farm. You have your own agency, and it's been successful. How many years now have you been in business?
I just celebrated my 15-year anniversary in
Wow.
December. Yeah,
15 years,
15
ladies
years.
and gentlemen. So that's not a blink of the eye to be successful and profitable and managing your own agency. That takes a lot. Now, the benefits I can see if you want to say what a few others are, but I'd like for you to tell us what some of the challenges have been. I mean, from mastering your career often requires, detours and pivots. And you mentioned that you stumbled into your career, right? And
Right.
um, what have been some of the challenges for you?
So some of the challenges have been really just trying to understand how to best connect and plug in. Um, really getting to know people. So when I first started, there were a group of people that just really embraced me and helped me connect into the community. But the deeper that I got into the community, and the more that I started to actually work with more of the political structure that exists within the city, that's where you start to kind of see some things
Yeah.
that I wasn't necessarily prepared for. So when we started to get into the dynamics of systems
Yes.
and systems that people perceive that are not working for them, that becomes very challenging and learning how to navigate. So now I had to figure out, how do I leverage um, the name that I created for myself, the reputation that I created for myself, and actually utilize it in a more effective way that doesn't always feel good,
Yeah.
because it then lends you to holding people accountable to the things that they have said. And when you start to hear things from community members where they have made feel like they were made promises that weren't delivered, and you're in that position and you have a seat at the table, you have to have the courage to speak on behalf of them and to be that voice. And that's not always comfortable.
Right.
So that has been kind of the biggest challenge in learning how to navigate that piece of, it's one thing when everybody loves you and you're always just kind of spreading cheer and joy and
Yeah.
writing checks.
Yeah.
But when it comes to now holding people's feet to the fire and holding people accountable for their elected positions, um, I had to kind of take a step back and again, like, have to figure out, okay, who do I begin to talk with for this new realm and phase of my life to help me figure out how to navigate that. You don't want to burn bridges. You want to know what you're talking about. So you have to then do your research. You have to start to dig. And when you're not from a particular city, you have to also be conscientious of ruffling the feathers of the people who've been here their entire lives.
Right.
And you have to give them the respect and the honor of their journey and listen to what
Hmm.
their experiences have been, and then figure out how you can balance all of those perspectives and come up with a productive outcome that just
Hmm.
doesn't keep people talking at each other, but get people to talking with each other with
Right.
the desired outcome. So that's
Wow.
been the journey, my new journey and my new challenge.
Well, I can imagine. I mean, because you're at the heart of the business economy in the city that you're in the state that you're in, right? So when you talk about the fact that you're the agent owner of a State Farm brand, State Farm has a brand all of its own in the corporate
Right,
office, right? So
right.
people know that. So you're not only representing yourself, you're representing that brand too. Um, you mentioned the word courage, and I don't know necessarily that you would consider that to be your superpower, but as a woman leader, what do you consider your superpower to be?
Um, I think problem solving is my superpower. And that comes from my days. I tried to figure out, I was like, I love math. And I was trying to figure out, other than just doing my financial empowerment and my financial literacy programs, what people don't understand about the math brain is that it is about problem solving. And that came out in that movie, Hidden Figures.
Uh-huh.
That has become my all-time favorite movie, because it really showed the depth of what it really means to be a problem solver, and that math is life.
Yep.
It's a bunch of equations, it's a bunch of shapes and forms, and trying to figure out how it all works together. So I'll analyze a situation to death. I'll look at every angle, and it provides me a level, I think, creativity in terms of solutions. I'm an idea junkie. I have a
Uh-huh.
solution and an idea for
I
every
know.
problem, every problem you can present. So I would say that is what I consider my
I would
superpower.
agree. I would agree. I definitely, having gotten to know you over the last 3 years or so, that is true. And because you do like math, it's easy to solve problems, but you don't seem to let things kind of ruffle you. You probably settle down and, like you say, listen and then come up with a solution. But let's talk a little bit about who inspired you. You talked about your mentors. I know mentorship is so important to both of us, but it's also it's important to our careers. Tell us about the women and the ladies and the men in your life that inspired you to become your own boss.
Yeah. So what I saw in my community is, like, it's funny, the women that I saw, that really nurtured us as a community, a lot of them were stay-at-home moms, but they found their way to be impactful. There was one lady that I remember, one of my dear friends in New York. Her name is Sharice Rose, or we call her mom Miss Rose. Her name was Marion Rose, and she was able to financially, put her children, I think they took like tap dance lessons or something like that, or dance classes. But then she would have her girls, do volunteer and for free provide dance lessons to the other kids in the community who couldn't afford to take the lessons. So it's those little things that people do that you're like, okay, wow, this is how you have impact. Like, I think as women, we just get creative in terms of, whatever stage we are in life, whatever our status or our role, we will figure out how to help others. So
Right.
that was kind of my first, glimpse of it. My mother has always been doing that. I mean, my mother is the most fascinating person that I know. She has
Wow.
an eighth grade education. And as I talked to her recently, my mother's 92 right now.
Oh,
And as
praise
I
the
do
Lord.
financial empowerment programs for folks and talk to them about buying their first home, my mother bought a home in the 1980s, like 1982. And she didn't have like a W-2 job. She had her own mom and pop restaurant. And I asked her, I said, Mom, how did you figure out, when I talk to people and they're like struggling with trying to figure out how to buy a home, how did you figure that out? Like,
Yeah.
I even think about people who have their own businesses, right? And they don't have W-2 income. So it becomes a challenge to figure out, to prove their income and to prove consistency of income. And it's a lot. And I'm just sitting going back, well, Mom, how did you do it? Like, with, eighth grade education, you didn't
Mhm.
have W-2 income.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, like, did you know bankers? Like, how did you get plugged in? And what my mother's simple response was? I knew people who knew people.
There you go. There you go. I love it. I love it. So I think that you're a role model to not only the people that you support and the people that your clients, because I've seen you in the operations of your business, to make sure that your clients are taken care of. But I guess for my benefit and those that know us, why do you think it's important for women to reach back and just help women and lead by example?
Because I think that we've been handed, Lisa, this language of crabs in a barrel and women being catty. And, even I heard, growing up, like, you can't really trust women. And that really bugged me a lot because I did not have those experiences. So I'm just kind of like, I'm getting these warnings, but it had not been my experience. I don't know. God kept me in a bubble,
Hmm.
just gave me like the best experiences. But my entire life, has been filled with women as long as I can think back, who just poured out, who just found ways to give. So I just really want to change that dialogue and make sure that no one else buys into that.
Mm-hmm.
That even with, I give myself these rules of engagement, relationship rules of engagement,
Uh-huh.
that where I don't allow myself, I try not to allow myself to burn any bridges. So you may have to deal with people in different ways at different times, but don't burn the relationship. Relationships to me are for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And you have to determine, okay, this is the reason for this relationship, and we're just going to operate around this reason. That even if we have other things going on where our personalities don't jive, or you said something to hurt my feelings, and we all come with baggage and filters, and we don't really know when we even step on some toes sometimes. But if we just really try to focus on, okay, what do we have in common that we can do together, and stay focused there,
Right.
you don't have to burn a relationship just because your feelings got hurt. And then you got those people who are just there for you for a lifetime, right? Those ride or die. And you put those folks in a different category, and you lean on and you rely on them. I have women, Lisa, in my life that I may not have talked to in a couple of years.
That's
If
me.
I needed to, I can call them right now, and I know that they will be there for me.
Right. Right.
So it's like you just figure out, is this relationship for a specific reason? And let me operate in that way. Is this relationship for a specific season for me to get this thing accomplished? Or
Right.
is this relationship for a lifetime? And I, got them in my Rolodex, and I know when I need, really need some hardcore talking to, that you will call. But I think you always have to, you don't have to go this alone. Like, this
Right.
life is too difficult for you to try to do it by yourself.
Right.
So you got to find people to connect to.
Well, I admire the fact that you have this mind of problem solving, even in relationships. Like you say, it's for a reason, season or a lifetime. But the point, I guess, for me is that you seem to have some secrets of success, and I want you to tell us, um, how have you been able to keep going in difficult times?
Well, first of all, the Lord.
Amen to
I'm a
that.
spiritual person, so I have my prayer closet, and I always start there. That's the first place that I start, and
Amen.
then I usually just get, when I find that quiet time to go inside of myself in those difficult times.
Yes.
I literally know that I emerge with a plan, and it's very clear, and I'm very focused, and God tells me who I needed to connect with in this moment for this reason and this purpose. And those relationships have already been established, right? Because you've been building this network for years. So then when it's time, when you have difficult times, you don't have to then build to act. You can just go right into, that role of that relationship. So
Right.
that's why it takes time, I think, to nurture and to build um, relationships, so that when you're in that season of difficulty and challenge, you immediately know who to go to, and you know how to approach them. You know exactly what they can do for you, and you know what you can do for them. And it has to be a two-way street. That's another thing. I believe that my husband has a saying, even swap ain't no swindle. Chicago.
I know that, right.
But you have to be willing to give too. Like, you have to be willing to, in your time of plenty, in your time when things are going well, you think about who can I reach out to and bless at this time when things seem to be going good. So that when your valley comes,
Yeah.
your bucket is full, and you can go and dip out when you need to.
Well, I would love to be able to talk to you forever. I can't believe how 30 minutes pass so fast when you're having a great
So,
conversation, because I didn't even get to like all the questions that I want. So I'm going to have you back on the show. But before parting, I have two things that I need from you. One, would you explain to our audience what the vast responsibility is of owning a State Farm insurance agency? What is it that you do? You actually provide insurance. Tell us what you do.
yes. So we provide, I just call it financial services, right? So we have the insurance, and people usually think, okay, I have to have automobile insurance. I know to call State Farm. I have to have homeowners insurance, and I need to call State Farm. But what people usually don't think about is if you own anything, you have any property, even if you're renting an apartment, you need renter's insurance because you need to protect all of your assets and all of your property. Some people may or may not think about life insurance. And that is like my sweet spot. That's what I love to talk to people about because we have to think about how many people depend on us in life. And if you're not physically there anymore, do you just like take the rug from under them, or does that life insurance opportunity provide them with some resources to help them cope when you're no longer around or available? But we help people plan for retirement. I personally like to do financial workshops and empowerment sessions around home buying and home ownership. So that's what I do. But I'm mainly in the community, showcasing who we are, that we care and that we want to be a part of everyone's lives and we want to be their partners for life. But the biggest job in starting my business was building a solid team.
Mm-hmm.
So I do none of this. I could do none of this without a solid team. And I have an awesome team of young people. Well, not just young people, they're young in spirit, but a great team of people who have a plethora of knowledge together. That a big part of your agency is grooming and training and hopefully building loyalty amongst those people so that they stay with you and they project who you are. So I don't physically have to be in the office every day. They're carrying out the mission of Dawn Johnson State Farm. They know what the mission is, but I'm available enough that if people aren't getting the experience that they think they should be getting, they know how to reach me and reach out to me, and we can make sure it's taken care of. But we all play a role within my agency, and we take care of all financial needs for our clients.
Yeah.
Auto,
Yeah.
fire, life, health, retirement planning.
My goodness. Well, I know for a fact her agency is successful, and I can't imagine it's profitable. I'm just going to say that it is because I've watched you and your team, and because you are on the numbers, you wouldn't be in business 15 years had it not been for keeping track of the numbers and knowing what to do. And so we're probably going to have you come back to talk about that part because I think it's important for people to understand. One thing that you did say is that math is important in everyday life, and so
Mhm.
to be able to have math and then turn that into a fruitful business of a State Farm insurance agency because you love to problem solve and having the right mentors. I gather that you didn't do much stumbling, lady, even though you think that you say that you did. So I'm going to end here by asking you to leave our audience with. First of all, I want to say hi to Waikita, hi to Rocky, that they're here. And the comments, it says there's a great conversation. Thank you, Waikita. Rocky says that relationships are currency, so she did hear you. And
Awesome.
Lindell says hello, greetings. And while I see these comments, because we're on 3 stations, which is YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn, um, after the show, we can go back and take a look at some of the comments and respond accordingly. So to those ladies that I just said hello to you, thank you for being here with us this morning. For 2022, we're kicking off with a great conversation here with Dawn Johnson of State Farm. And Dawn, I'd like if you could leave us with parting words of advice for women for what we call the career mastered moment.
Absolutely. I love the comment that someone said relationships is currency. Spot on. If you just get nothing but that, and because it really equals what my mother said, I knew people who knew people. When you can just leverage relationships and build good, solid, mutually beneficial relationships,
Yes.
that to me, that's the secret sauce. So I recommend that. I encourage that. If you took nothing else away from this conversation, that would be, I think, the key. I'm 50. I just turned 52, and I
Oh
feel like I wrote a list of 52 things I want to say because it's 52 weeks in a year.
my,
So I
wow.
did start DawnJohnsonCares.com, and we'll be doing a podcast also called Dawn Dishes and Wines, where I try to do a little fun, share the because I love good food and I love good wine. So we're gonna talk about some of my favorite places to eat, some of my favorite wine, and we're gonna just talk about life. So all the things that we talked about here, Lisa, we'll go a little bit deeper into those subjects. Would love to come back here. I know you'll be on our podcast as well, and we'll continue to share and exchange information and help women grow.
I love it. Well, I'm looking forward to our conversation coming up this weekend for audience. Dawn Dishes and Wine. I'm going to be her guest. Certainly didn't expect it. It wasn't an even exchange. It just happened. It just happened that we both are doing some things that I think women can resonate with. And so I'll have my wine and I'll wait to hear what we're dishing up on Sunday.
Yeah.
So I'd like to first of all thank you on behalf of my team, and I hope that we will get together sooner than later. After this pandemic, to see you in real time. And
Yes.
again, I'd like to thank our audience this morning. And if you really would like to stay in touch with Dawn, it's Dawn Johnson State Farm, and then the Dawn Johnson cares.com, if that would be your choice. So thank you, and we'll see you next time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Lisa.
Bye now.
Bye bye.
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for joining us today. We're super excited. I believe that you might have received something of substance from the conversation. That is the whole idea here. And I just wanted to share with you that we have a couple of things going that I would like to bring to your attention. And one of them is the Career Mastered 8th annual summit and awards. I cannot believe we're going into the 8th year of this summit and the Women's History Leadership Awards. And breaking news right now, hear it from me, tickets just went on sale last night. So if you would like to attend in person, we're going to be in Uptown Charlotte at the Embassy Suites by Hilton with a limited number of in-person VIP attendance. And then all others that would like to participate can do so online because we'll be live from Embassy Suites. So I'm excited that my team and I have continued to forge ahead. We have great sponsors like New York Life Insurance, Mercedes-Benz, Fifth Third Bank, Food Lion, Lowe's. We are ecstatic that our partners have continued to see the value in what we do to advance women's leadership. Again, if you're interested in attending, please do so by going to careermastersummitandawards.com to pick up your early bird tickets. Ticket prices will rise on February the 1st, so now is the time to do your thing. And again, we're ecstatic that you joined us today, and we'll see you next Thursday as we have our next guest for the Career Mastered Inside Career Success Show. Thank you.